So LiquidText is a really powerful document analysis platform, but we built it into the form of an easy-to-use PDF reader so that you could add it to your workflow and start getting value out of it very quickly. So let me show you something here. So for folks who are new to LiquidText, I recommend you start using it kind of as a replacement for your day-to-day PDF reader. So for example, let's say we just bring up the Files app here, and let's say that I need to review a document. Just drag that right into LiquidText. And we recommend when you need to review a document, again, just drag it right into LiquidText and use sort of the basic features of the app, like highlighting, excerpts, notes, and ink links. Let me just to make that really clear. So of course, you can highlight text very easily, as we talked about. We recommend you pull out, create excerpts, which again, very easy, just pull those right out like this. We recommend you create notes, which you can either do by hand. I have terrible handwriting, so I don't do that very much. Or of course, the text box. And then finally, ink links. And again, we want to point them out here to kind of tell you that just by doing these, right, just these basic concepts of highlighting, excerpts, notes, and ink links, you can start getting tremendous value out of LiquidText, even with just reviewing, a single PDF, for example. And we recommend you start using LiquidText, particularly if you're new to the product. We recommend you start using it in this kind of a model, and then advance into the more expert features as you feel ready. So the way we're going to begin this is we're going to start by talking with a little narrative about a trial prep situation to go over the basics of LiquidText. I want to teach you all about how to create a new LiquidText project, how to use the LiquidText editor and the documents list. I want to teach you about creating excerpts and ink links. I want to teach you about searching for text, importing content from the web, working with multiple documents in the same project, and finally, exporting your results. Okay. All right, here we are. So here first we have the LiquidText home screen. Each of the tiles here represents a project. Projects can be simple and contain just a single document, or a project can contain hundreds of thousands of documents and hundreds of pages of notes. To create a new project, you start by importing one or more documents into LiquidText, and the app creates a new project when you do so. LiquidText gives you several different ways to import content into it. You have, of course, the Open File button over here on the left. Here you can pull in files from your file system. You have Open Web Page, which lets you, import a web page. You can import pictures, and we have integrations with things like Zotero, Mendeley, and iManage. Now, I'm doing this demo this morning on my iPad, but this pretty much works the same way if you're on Windows. The arrangement of the buttons over here on the left is a little bit different, but the idea is basically the same. You can also, of course, just drag and drop files directly into the LiquidText UI from another app or from your file manager if you prefer. Okay. Now, let's see. Now, the way I'd like to frame the beginning of our demo is to go over let's say a public interest lawsuit against a company that's, let's say, burning waste illegally. Now, I'll be handling this in court, so I want to prepare. The first thing I'm going to want to do is review the petition. So we're going to head over to the Open File button here and go to our waste burning use case. And here we have, let's see, here we are. Here we have the petition, and we're just going to import this into LiquidText. And you see, it creates a new project around that file. Now, this is the LiquidText editor screen. Let me give you a quick tour of the editor. And this is the LiquidText editor screen. Over here on the left, we have the documents list. This is the list of all the documents in the current project that we're working on right now. In this case, there's only one. In the middle is the reading area. This is where I have the document or documents I'm working on right now. And over here on the right is the workspace. This is where I take my notes and start to build the arguments that I'm going to be using. Okay. Now, in this case in particular, I'm going to be using the workspace to keep track of key facts in the case and an overview. So the first thing I'm going to want to keep track of is the parties to the case. So the petitioner and the respondents. So I'm going to select the petitioner here. And on my iPad, you can just put your finger down, wait for a moment, and drag to select. Or of course, you can use your mouse, just as you would expect on a more traditional desktop device. And now, of course, I could highlight the petitioner, but I don't want to simply highlight them. I want to have this information continuously available as I go through the case. So instead of highlighting, I'm going to drag this information into my workspace like this, you see. And now you see what I've done. I've actually captured this piece of text here. Let's do the same thing for the respondents. I'll select them as well, pull that out, and you see I can connect these and form this little grouping over here in the workspace. Now you notice each of these excerpts that I pulled out has this little white arrow on the side. What is that white arrow? That white arrow is your magic home button. Wherever you are, you can simply tap that white arrow and instantly get right back to the source, you see. This means you are never more than one click away from context. All right, very good. So in core, I'm going to, let's also pull out, before we get to that, let's pull out the index here of the annexes. I'm going to select this as an image. And you see, also pull this out into the workspace. We'll shrink this guy down a little bit and just connect him to the other notes. There we are. All right. Now, as I was saying, in core, I'm going to need to be able to get to these annexes very quickly. So I'd like to be able to connect this index I pulled out to the annexes that it refers to. So let's start by going to Annex A. I see that it's over here. It says it's on page 26. So I could, of course, start by scrolling down to page 26, but there's actually a faster way. In LiquidText, we know you're going to need to be able to navigate very quickly. So you can actually just start typing and just type 2, 6. And you see, as I start just typing the numbers, LiquidText brings up a context-sensitive dialog box that lets me go right to that page. So we'll just go right to page 26 and see, there we are, Annexure A. Okay. Now what I'd like to do is connect the index over here to the actual annex. Now, how can I do that? At first, it doesn't seem really possible, right? This is my notes and this is my document. But one of the great things about LiquidText is we make it really easy to connect your documents and your notes. So I'm actually going to just take my pen here and draw a line from Annex A right into my notes here. And look what the app does. It creates an ink link, a living line between my document and my notes. Wherever I am, even if I'm in a different document, I can always click this link here, and LiquidText brings me right back instantly. It's incredibly powerful for navigating quickly. All right, let me show you all that one more time. Let's do the same thing for Annex B. That's over on page 41, so I'm just going to type in 41, you see, and I can go straight to page 41, and there we have Annex B. And again, I want to connect Annex B to the little index here. So I'm just going to draw a line from Annex B right into the index. And again, the same thing. It creates that ink link between them. So I can navigate between these references instantly. And so this isn't simply for navigating through different annexes. One of the great things about this is it means you can take your notes in the workspace and link those notes to whatever points in whichever documents those notes refer to. Okay, let's go on. Now I want to write some points that I need to prove for this case. Particularly, I need to prove that waste burning is dangerous, and I need to prove waste burning is unconstitutional. So let's just go over here, and we'll make a title heading. Actually, let me show you that in a little more detail how I did that. To just type random text in your workspace to create your own text boxes, you go over to the sidebar on the right here, the workspace sidebar, and you click this button. And now you can just drag out to draw the text box that you need. So for this one, I'll say Waste burning is dangerous. And we'll highlight that with red. And then we'll go and create another one. Waste burning is unconstitutional. And we'll highlight that red as well. Okay, now the first one I'm going to want to deal with is that waste burning is dangerous. So what do I want to do there? Well, I want to find some evidence that it's dangerous. So I'll do a search for the word harm in the petition that we have here. Now, how do I do a search? Well, you can, of course, start by going to the top bar here, and we have the search button. And you can just type your search and press return. But there's actually even a faster way. You remember how I could just start typing to go to a page? I can actually just start typing to do a search. So I'm just going to start typing HARM. And you see LiquidText again brings up a context-sensitive dialog box with options for several different kinds of searches that I can do. In this case, I'm just going to do a search for the word harm in this document. That's already selected. So I'll press return. And you see, it found 16 results in this document for harm. Very nice. But I'd like to see all these results together so I could figure out which one is going to be most useful for me in preparation for the case here. So how can I bring all these search results together? Well, you can actually take your fingers, put them on the screen, and squeeze to bring all of the search results together like this, right? Let me show you that again. Squeeze apart, and all the results go away from each other. Squeeze my fingers together, and they all come together. Now you say, I don't happen to be using a touch screen. That's okay. If you're doing this on your traditional Windows PC, you simply hold down Shift and scroll your mouse wheel, and it does the same thing. If you're doing it on a Mac, it's a little bit of a different way. You hold down, or rather on a Mac, you would simply squeeze on your Mac trackpad. But again, in the onboarding to the app, it'll show you how to do some of these things. Okay, so now, again, I can see all of my search results together here. And which ones look like they're going to be useful? Well, let's take a look at this one over here. To dig in deeper, I just put my fingers around it, squeeze apart, and you see now I get the context for it. No, this one's not going to be helpful. Squeeze back together again. What about this next one on page 24? Squeeze apart around that. This one is going to be helpful. I'll squeeze apart all the way. This one talks about some issues with dioxins. I think that's going to be really compelling for my case here. So I'm just going to select this and again, pull this right out into the workspace, just like this. Okay, very nice. So that's a good start, but I'm actually going to need some more evidence. So I want to do a quick web search. For that, we're going to go over to the left sidebar here, to the document sidebar. And you see there's this button, Add Document. Add Document lets you add more content to your LiquidText project. If I click it, I can import additional documents from the file system, web page, integrations, and so on. In this case, we're going to do a web page import. So let's open our little built-in web browser here, and let's search for burning plastic and health. And this first result looks pretty promising here. Yeah, I would say this first result is going to help us. So let's just import this directly into LiquidText. There we are. And now I'll just pull the title of this right into the workspace and connect it to my other notes. Okay, great. So now let's deal with the issue of that waste burning is unconstitutional. In order to prove that, I'm going to need the Constitution of India, and I'm going to need some earlier Supreme Court rulings that may be relevant. So for that, let's go back to our Add Document button here, and we'll go to Document File. We'll go back to our waste burning use case, and let me just emphasize that you see we have all of the different file sources that are available on this iPad listed over here. So we have OneDrive, for example. To import from OneDrive, of course, you simply click OneDrive, go to Files, and simply select the files that you want. In this case, as a convenience, the folders that I'm going to need for this demo, I've already just put here in favorites, but you can, of course, just go through OneDrive or whichever service you're using. All right. So again, now we want to pull in the Constitution and this prior ruling. I'll select both of them, and we add them. Excellent. And you see, they just appeared right here in the documents list. Now, since these two are related, I'd like to put them in a new folder. So I want to organize them a little bit over here in the documents list. How can I create a new folder? It's actually really easy. You just right-click or press and hold in the documents list, and you have the option to add a new folder. We'll do that. We'll name it Laws and Rulings. There we are. And now I'll just take these two documents and add them to it. And you see, now I have a nice little folder to keep things organized here. Okay, so let's begin by opening that 2017 Supreme Court case, and let's start reviewing that. Now, the first issue is this is actually a scanned document, so I want to quickly OCR it. To OCR in LiquidText, you simply tap the little three dots next to a document, and you'll see we have OCR text detection. In this case, I'm going to do a full OCR, so I'll click on Full Document OCR here. We'll actually do the faster version of OCR. All right, excellent. So the first thing I'd like to do is take the title of this case and bring that into the workspace. So you see, I can just select it, and the OCR worked out quite well. And now I see that this ruling has found that the word life in the Constitution implicitly includes the concept of safe and breathable air right here. So this looks like it's going to be pretty important for us. So I'm going to select this, and I'm just going to highlight it. And so you see, anytime you want to highlight text, it's very easy. You just select it and tap the color of the highlight that you want. But I also want to make sure that I'm using the word life correctly in the context of the Constitution. So I'm going to open the Constitution side by side with this ruling over here. Now, how do I do that? Well, again, you see I have the Constitution here in the documents list. To open it side by side with another document, I can tap the little three dots button and select Show in Parallel, but there's actually a nicer way. I can actually take the document and just drag it out and position it next to the existing documents. And look at that. It brings them up side by side. This way I can view them together. Very convenient. Great for doing comparisons. Okay, so to find out if I'm understanding the right context for how life is used in the Constitution, let's again do a quick search here. So again, I can just start typing L-I-F-E, press return, and it finds all the instances of the word life in the Constitution. Just like we did before, I'll simply pinch to bring all of the results together so I can see them at the same time. Here we are. All right, it looks like there are a few uses, but the one in Article 21 over here seems to stand well on its own. Since it's related to the point in the ruling, I'd actually like to connect this use of the word life to the point in the ruling up here. But how can I do that? We'll turn off search here. How can I do that? These are completely separate documents. How can I connect one to the other? Well, this is again one of the great things about LiquidText. We really let you connect anything to anything so that you can capture the relationships and the connections you see. So you saw how earlier I could draw a line to connect my document to my notes. I can also just draw a line to connect one document to another. And again, LiquidText creates an ink link. Look at that. Another living line between two different documents. Now, what this means in practice is that suppose I'm in court and we're discussing this prior case, and the opposing counsel says, I'm misunderstanding the use of the word life. I'm taking it out of context. That's not how it's meant in the Constitution. I don't have to go fumbling through my notes. I don't have to go trying to search to figure out where exactly it's used in the Constitution. The link that I need is right in front of me. I click it and I get right back to the cited point in the Constitution instantly. It means I can really find information a lot faster. And attorneys tell us that this ability to link following the connections that you discover actually gives them a material advantage in the courtroom, especially over those using paper. Okay, great. So anyway, this point that I highlighted in yellow is definitely going to be helpful for our case. I want to bring this into the workspace as well. Since I already highlighted this, I can just double tap it here to reselect it, and I can bring it right out into the workspace like this. Very convenient. Okay, so now I think it's time to put together our conclusion. In this case, it's going to be a very simple one. I'll just shrink the document down here, and we'll focus on the workspace. I'll go back, click the text box button, and we'll create a little text box here. Maybe we'll add a heading to it, and we'll say conclusion. and we'll say, we should approach waste burning as a form of air pollution. It's dangerous and illegal. Okay, a simple conclusion, but I think it'll be compelling in this case. Now, since this conclusion is related to these excerpts that I pulled out earlier, I'd really like to show that. But how can I? Well, again, it's the same concept. You've seen how you can use LiquidText to link different documents together and to link your documents in your notes. You can also use it to link one note to another. See, I can just draw lines like this and look at that. The app creates lines, letting me connect my notes, effectively forming a mind map in my workspace. And if this was a larger and more complex workspace, I could click one end to get directly to what's on the other end. Okay, terrific. So at this point, I'd like to send all this material to the court, but of course the court does not want my mind map. The court wants a nice, polished, finished Word document. How on earth can I get from all this to a finished Word document? Well, this is actually something that LiquidText is great at. Over here on the top right of the app, we have the send button. If you click that, you have a few different options for sending. Now, we're going to talk about these more in a few minutes, but we're going to start with Notes Outline. If you click Notes Outline, LiquidText takes all of the materials in your workspace, as well as all of your highlights in your different documents and your comments, and organizes them into a nice, simple, linear Word file. Now, you can select your settings for how you want this to be presented, what citations you want to include, and so on. And then you can simply click Export, and we'll send this right off to Word. And we'll give it a second here. There we are. You see, now we bring it right into Word, and now I can arrange it into the final form that I need, add in any additional text, and I'm good to go. All right, we'll go to Send, and we'll go to PDF File. When you send a LiquidText PDF file, the app will take your workspace, your notes, and optionally, all of the PDFs in the project. We'll just select them all and combine them together into one big PDF file that you can send off to your standard PDF reader. So let's do an example of that. Here we are. We'll send this right over to Adobe. And there we have it. You see, here's our workspace. And then we have all of the documents from the original LiquidText project, all combined together into a big PDF. And one of the great things about this is, you'll see I pulled out several excerpts. These excerpts I pulled out actually link back to their source PDFs, even in this large, or their source page, even in this PDF. So for example, if I click right here, it takes me right to the page of the PDF that excerpt comes from. So you see, we're even able to capture just a little bit of the LiquidText concept of linking, even in the PDFs that we export. Okay, so of course, this is the home button. This takes you back to the file picker. This is previous and next view. So these might be a little bit non-obvious. Let me show you what these are. Let's say I'm on page 2 of this document. Then I scroll down to page 6 of the document. Now I'd like to go back to page 2 again. I can just click back, and it takes me back to page 2. Now I want to go forward to 6 again. Click forward, takes me forward to 6. So these work a little bit like the forward and backward buttons in your web browser. It's just for sort of quickly jumping between which view you're on in the current document or any of your documents that you're working with. The next one, of course, is undo. We all know that. After that is the pen. You saw me use that a few times. The pen is lovely. You can write anywhere. And of course, connect anything with an ink link. The next one, of course, is the highlighter. So you can highlight text by simply selecting the text and then selecting the color you're interested in. But the other way you can highlight is just by using this highlighter tool and using your pen. And then you can highlight freeform, even if it's not directly following the text. After that, we have the eraser, in case you change your mind about any of these things. And then we have multi-select. This one is for moving around your excerpts, your ink, So for example, if we have a bunch of excerpts here, I can simply select them and move them around using the selection rectangle button. After that, of course, we have Find, which we talked about. We have Help, which is actually a great feature for all the different major feature categories in LiquidText. You see we have a little tab, and you can click on any of these to get a little video demo showing you how to use that feature. Right? So this is a great way to learn how to use many of LiquidText's features. We have a lot of the advanced things in here as well. After that, we have the 3 dots menu, where you can do everything from changing around your tags, renaming the project, and setting various settings about how the project is going to be viewed and work. And of course, the send button that we talked about. If I have made handwritten notes on the margin of the pages while reading, is there a way to search through those notes or see them at one place? There actually is. Let me show you a couple points here. So we don't, in this particular document, I don't really have much in the way of margin notes, but let's just make a couple for the heck of it here. And we'll say important and needs review, and we'll add one more. Please revise. Okay, now the first thing to understand is that when you create a comment, the text that it's based on is considered highlighted. So you can always just use the standard highlight view over here, pinch, and you see all of those comments come together along with your other highlights. So you can see all of them straight away, just like that. The other way, the other question is, can you search through them? Yes, you can. If I say, let's see, let's do a search for important. It finds all the different results with the word important, but one of those results, it may not be in this version. Okay, we may not have released that yet. So we're going to be letting the search feature here is going to be searching your comments as well, your comments attached to your document. I think that hasn't actually released yet, but that's going to be released very shortly. So then the answer to that will be yes. The other thing to realize is that you actually can also pull your comments. You can actually pull your comments out into the workspace. So for example, I can, for instance, pull these guys out and together. So if I want to keep them organized together for a long time, I can actually just remove them from the document. And then of course, they will point back to what they refer to as well. So it's a little bit about whatever you need, but the short answer is basically yes. You can change the style and layout of the workspace. So you can click on the Workspaces button here, and you can see all the workspaces you have in your project. In this project, we only have one, but you could have as many as you need. So if you click on the 3 dots, you can change the color, and you can change the style of the workspace. And now you see, you can have as many workspace pages as you like. You can simply continue scrolling around through them. So while we don't have something to enforce that it will only scroll vertically, you can, of course, for instance, only pull content out and arrange it vertically. And then the app will continue to extend the workspace vertically, but not make it any larger horizontally.